we're here in East Palestine once again. Now I am joined here with Steve as well as Brian. Brian McCall, yep, Brian lives right here in East Palestine, works in East Palestine. Steve was actually moving into town the day of the derailment. I guess we'll start off here with Brian, though. Right when this happened, I guess, how was the first thing you kind of heard of the derailment? Well, you know, how did you find out about it?
I was coming to work and they said they're going to blow the train up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were told to stay away.
How much time did you have?
What do you mean?
Warning time.
Nothing. I've seen a text message and I didn't come to work Saturday.
Right. And so you work fairly close to the site. I mean, the site's essentially right over here.
Yeah,
Yep. We'll try to give some visuals to just show how close it is on our way out here. But so, you know, derailment happens, controlled, in quotes, burn happens. How quickly were you all back to work in here?
Thursday we come back. And it was so bad in here, just the smell, and it was bad. But we started back Thursday. Mm-hmm. We worked Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then come back Monday.
Right. So the derailment or the controlled burn happened on Monday, back on Thursday. So you're saying the smell was really bad?
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah, we kind of had like a feeling like you wanted to throw up, but you really didn't. I don't know. It's just that pre-throw up feeling. I don't know how to describe it, but the headaches were terrible. It was just bad in here. It was the smell, which, you know, I mean, it had to have some effect on this place.
Well, isn't there a water? Isn't it all underneath this building?
Yeah, there's
so
underground.
They're pumping at the manholes, like right now outside. They're pumping all that water that literally runs through the bottom of this building. Again, the train track is right there. You can put your arms out and touch it. And wasn't there Congress people like just flooding this place for a day?
Well,
and they came in here and let you know everything's okay, everything's fine, don't worry about it. You know, they got the people at Abundant Life, their little spot over there to go get your funds. And they're telling you, I went in there, they're telling you to just not believe anything you see on social media. And it's funny because they want us to believe them that are being paid who knows how much. I'm into tech and I saw a listing for being a developer for a website. And some guy got a random message saying, like, we'll pay you pretty much 3 times what you're worth because we desperately need a web developer right now to make us a website so we can point all of our problems to this vague website that has no information on it and just pretty much as we want to update it and let you guys know what's on that website. I mean, that's...
And to your point, I mean, it does seem like a lot of this stuff, you know, I don't know for sure, but a lot of things do seem to be being covered up here. Is that the same kind of...
Yeah, well...
Yeah, and it's just, I think everyone got a little bit of taste of, you know, they got exactly, as my brother-in-law put it, the manager of the park, they got exactly what they wanted by just giving us a little bit of money to get us by and then saying like, yeah, you know, we're going to slowly stop supporting you with all this water. I mean, watering your crops, watering your animals. I mean, there's just bottled water to water my kale I'm growing like that. Every day, it's going to add up and it's just not going to be a good profit.
And I'll ask a couple questions about the like kind of agricultural side of this in a second, but to another question on, you know, coming back here right after this happened. I mean, you mentioned some headaches and that sort of thing. Were there other health effects that either you or other folks here are having, or any of them lingering effects?
The sore throat, just don't go away. It's like your throat's burnt. Yeah. You know, they call it a chemical burn. I don't know what that is, but yeah, it's like you know, your throat hurts all the time. You come out of here though
6 miles away and my tongue went numb.
Right.
I was flying a drone 6 miles away where I was staying because obviously I couldn't move in that day, and I knew they were going to blow it up. So I was like, let me get some footage. Don't ask about the footage. I was facing the wrong way. But you know, I take the drone down and I package it up, and you know, I get back to work on my computer, and I have a cat hair on my tongue. So I pick the cat hair off my tongue, and next thing you know, my tongue's completely tingling and numb. And I'm like, that's the weirdest thing. And I didn't hear about that until like 2 days later. It was like, my tongue's numb. And I was like, wait, that's one of the effects is that like, and again, I was how far away? 400 feet up. And so, you know, the air is moving a lot different up there, probably like 8 miles away. And I mean, it got all over my drone. That's just wild. I mean, what else is it covering? What kind of range did that actually like reach, you know?
Right, no, absolutely. And your son's provided us a couple of the videos and stuff you've taken out here. I guess, have you seen anything interesting out and about, just out in the yard here? I mean, this is kind of a little bit of a staging area for seemingly Norfolk Southern, or at least close by, where they're doing a lot of this cleanup. Have you seen anything interesting going on outside?
I mean, I don't know. They're there all day, but I mean, it seems like they're trying to do it. I mean, I guess they keep finding and then keep digging.
Right.
That's the main thing, fix our town.
In it for the long haul,
You
but
know?
they're already out of the park because it's an eyesore. I mean, that's...
Well, they shouldn't have been in the park anyway. I think that was a terrible idea to drag the stuff through town and take it to the park when you already had an area out here that was defected. I don't know.
And this is, during the cleanup process, a lot of the stuff was brought to the park, is what you all are talking about, from my understanding.
I know, it's an accident, but I mean, these guys, they know what they're doing. They're more brains than we have.
They say that they know what they're doing based on a lot of the stuff that we're looking at and a lot of the information.
You got to keep trains going.
And
money, money, money.
Agreed, and unfortunately, I think that's what happened here. I mean, 3 days after the controlled burn or whatever, you all are just told, "Yep, it's safe to come back." I mean,
trains were going before I even made it into town, and I come right back into town because my house is in
Every
here.
10 minutes, I mean, you hear that thing roaring through.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they got to keep them moving, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's
It
the only
runs the
reason why
country,
it
so
was
there's
opened
nothing
up.
we could
The town
do.
was only opened up so they get their trains going. We know that.
Yeah.
Which, a lot
And
of
they're
money.
slowly
But they bring us
pulling
also a
out.
lot of product. They do haul a lot of product through the S. We need the trains.
Yeah.
We do.
Yep.
safe trades.
I'll ask. So we've talked to quite a few residents at this point who have kind of battled to get vinyl chloride testing for in their urine.
They don't wanna do that.
Yeah, I've seen actually, unfortunately, a lot of folks testing positive for this metabolite. I've been speaking with experts on this because a lot of the stuff's complicated and confusing. The experts I'm talking with are saying, the test's not perfect, but the amount of people now who are starting to test positive for this is concerning. It's pretty clearly, going to be associated with this.
Every day it's in our system. I mean, there's only a few days that go by you don't smell it or taste it. I don't smell it as much as tasting it anymore.
Yeah,
I don't,
Which is bad.
It's here. Yeah, it's here. Yeah, you
It's
might
like
not
you
be able to
gotta
smell it,
used
but
to
it's
it.
here. The
Yeah.
air is definitely polluted at different times, I'd say.
Yep. And I guess obviously it's been today is literally 3 months since this derailment happened. Have you noticed any changes? Are you still kind of smelling this in
Every time it
town?
rains-
Is it?
When it rains, it's here. Well, they're pumping out here, which they're trying. They're getting it out of the ground, But every time it rains, you come in here, it's just like there it is.
Yeah.
It's like, and then here comes the headaches right behind your eyes, like just pressure. Boom.
You mentioned some of the growing crops and whatnot. Or before we started this, you were mentioning folks who have farms and agriculture in the
it's a
area
whole
are
area.
having
This-
issues. What are some of the things that you're seeing in regards to that? Of people potentially trying to leave? Concerns about that?
Yeah, I mean, people are leaving, and they obviously probably want to keep it on the down low, or maybe they're open about it. I'm not too sure, but I hear big farms around here. I mean, that people that we know, and they're leaving. I mean, there's no one that's going to want this from anywhere else. Why would they? Why would they risk it? It's not. I mean, it's not our fault. It's not the people that consumes it's fault. It's just no one knows what to do, and as a precaution, you're not going to buy the grain or the wheat or anything like that comes from this area, because
They need to
why
educate
would
us
you?
more. They need
They're
to
not,
educate.
and they hold
do
the
need
key to education. And you see AI coming out, and now all these powerful people want to be like, whoa, free education whenever they want. These people can't be having that. No way.
And it's unfortunate because you'd think the EPA, right? They're supposed to be the good guys. They're supposed to come in.
We thought
And,
so.
yeah.
Tell you, they fine you. I wouldn't pay the fine from now on. I mean it. They should, but now they're trying to do it, though. They are trying to do it.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate though because a lot of test results are coming out. People, especially we've seen a lot of the private well sample results and stuff coming in and out, and these people are having essentially pages and pages of small font with complicated chemicals with readings that are hard to understand unless you're a freaking college professor. Unfortunately, the EPA really needs to be, to your point, giving you all real information about how do you understand this stuff. What are the actual risks? And it seems like that's not happening.
Instead, they're treating this whole area like a lab rat. They're just waiting and seeing. We're waiting and seeing, And this area isn't something that just asks for handouts, you know what I mean? So
we had to bump outside here. Brian had to get back to work, but we're going to continue the conversation here with Steve. We were talking about the agricultural side of this, how it's affecting folks. Some of these bigger farms potentially even nervous about it. You mentioned you yourself are, grow some stuff, and you're even concerned about it. Experts that I'm talking with from earlier on in here, we all saw the images of the giant plume that happened with all sorts of the chemicals on board, the chemical byproducts ranging from, obviously the vinyl chloride, but all the things that the vinyl chloride was, created when it was combusted. Things such as formaldehyde, you've got hydrogen chloride, you've got phosgene, you've got dioxin, which was a big part of the conversation here. A lot of these things will go up into the air. Dioxin in particular is heavier than air and eventually will settle down. Some of the scary stuff you learn about that is dioxin doesn't just go away. If it's in the soil, plants can pick it up. To your point earlier, you're talking about growing kale and whatnot. And then it's in the plant. You eat the plant, it can be in you. When you're talking livestock, cows, if they
and that's what this area does. I mean, like, it's a huge agriculture, like, it's an area where you raise all sorts of stuff, everything. I mean, it all comes, look on the map. I mean, a lot of the food produced for the country comes from this whole area, the Midwest area. And it's just, I mean, too many things got affected by this for them to already be cleaning up and packing up and really not having a big presence in the town already. I mean, you have their weird tents over there and the piles of dirt that they dumped over there. I mean, and it's like you're not allowed in certain areas, so they know they don't want people in there watching what they're doing because they're not doing exactly the right thing. They aren't. I mean, it just sucks when it happens to you. It's a real eye opener that, like, things need to happen in your town like this in order for it to be right. In order for you to feel like you need to do something about it, it happens to you.
And even right behind us here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but with essentially we're pumping water from the drains that are coming from kind of underneath the building here. Yeah. The cleanup site, again, is just out of sight. And they're pumping this contaminated water out. We've seen these massive blue water storage tanks
up into this building where my dad works. They found that it was being pushed up through the vents into the building. I mean, that is like,
yeah.
That's my dad. This town doesn't ask for handouts. They're not that kind of person, like people, they're simple people. They just want to have a good life off the grid. And it just sucks because I feel like they're being so taken advantage of. And it doesn't matter what side you're on with anything. We all have a beating heart inside of us, we're all meat bags, and it's just, everybody needs to come together for this. I get it. The train makes you so much money. The train is why the whole country operates, but it's like, man, at what point are we gonna care about our health? I almost want these guys to pay for my vasectomy. I don't want to have kids now. I have a cousin, he's like a brother to me, lived right next to the train tracks. They moved him out, and I don't know how much money they gave him, but he's having a baby on the way. Like, they found out in January they're having a baby, and it's like, man, I feel like that effect, everything that happened it's already happened. There's no amount of money, there's no amount of park improvements, that you can make. Am I going to go to the swing set to get my mind off of the chemotherapy that I'm on? It doesn't help you. They want to bring more people in. They want to make the town thrive, not knowing what is really going on in the water. It's sad. It's infuriating. It makes me so mad.
It is, and even as we were walking out, your dad was like, it's not about the money, it's about the health, to your point.
Yeah.
We've spoken with a couple other folks who work here, they work at other buildings close by here, which, again, the derailment site is just off to my right here. And, experiencing other health symptoms themselves. We spoke with folks like Lenny and Russell a couple weeks ago, who, again, poor Russell, he was still, at that point about a month ago, his skin was bright red, and he was dealing with this stuff because folks are unfortunately still being exposed to these things at this point in time here. It's outrageous. Unfortunately, it seems like a lot of the folks who should be kind of coming in to save the day are not
still
coming.
Haven't been here. I mean, they have stuff to go benefit from.
So we had to leave the property, unfortunately. So we're continuing the interview over here in a house that Steve's family's purchased and have been. They purchased it fairly recently, I guess.
Couple months back, yeah.
Right. Pre-derailment that they were actually hoping to flip. Obviously, that's going to have its whole other issues that we'll talk about in a second. But still on the topic of folks who are needing to still go to work very close to the derailment site there, folks just like your dad and other folks we've talked to. There's actually a factory next door or a facility next door that hasn't returned back. I guess you want to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, pretty large company just right next door. and they said that the owner of it said that they still haven't went back to work, and how long has that been? And it's because he doesn't want to subject his workers to those conditions, because the owner knows. He knows what he's feeling, and he knows what his workers are going to be feeling. And honestly, I mean, maybe he realizes that might come to bite him in the butt later. I mean, who knows what's going to happen down the road from this? And I hate that we just have to wait and see. That's what the EPA wants us to do. They want us to wait and see. We're running the tests. We're looking. It's like, we don't want you guys to look anymore. We want you guys to do something. I mean, this isn't in the trending topics anymore in the country. We're on to other things like Bud Light and other weird things to just keep us fighting with each other. We just gotta, it benefits people if we're always fighting with each other down. And I think I think we have to stop working for a system that's not working for us anymore. It's just not working for us. And it's like, I don't know how I have to emphasize this anymore. It's just like, you don't realize it until it happens to you. I mean, I've seen all the stuff happen in this country, and it's just like, man, the Flint stuff, that sucks. But I really wasn't invested into it, because it's like, oh, that sucks. But
not happening to me.
Yeah, you don't have that information. You don't really hear from the people. They're kind of shadow banned in a certain way. As soon as this happened, pictures were being taken off the internet for fake, or what was it, misinformation, because the amount of reporters that were arrested, they said multiple were arrested when it was really only one. I mean, that's not what needs to be focused on. So it's so weird, because when you don't have the information, you kind of want to say hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? But then if you say, what about that, in the post, it might be flagged for misinformation. Yeah. So it's just if we don't have the information, we're eventually going to be thinking the worst. Right. And so on top of that, you just get shadow banned.
Right. It's all sorts of things related to this. And even to get back to even these businesses needing to make the decision of obviously this one business decided, hey, you know what? I'm not going to have my workers come back in. It's tricky because obviously, these aren't massive businesses for the most part. These businesses shouldn't be in the position where they have to decide, do I basically make no money for a period of time, have my workers not come in, all of this sort of stuff, or, in some cases, some of these businesses might, if they're not getting any assistance.
4 people have quit my dad's place. I mean, he's been there for 34 years. He has this house that he was in the middle of just for fun. He just wanted to make this house nicer and flip it. I mean, that was just doing a good deed, in my opinion. This house was a wreck. It was bad. And that's just what my dad wanted to do with his spare time. And now it's now we have another house. Right. It's
another house that unfortunately no one's going to want to buy. We spoke with Eric yesterday, who he bought his house in East Palestine about 9 months ago. Yeah. The house is already worth something like $12,000 less than it was before, just kind of looking at tracking on the kind of real estate websites and whatnot. But even so, it's going to be hard to buy.
There are people that have left and not turned back. I mean, and their houses just sit there vacant. I just don't understand, what's going to be done for those people that are no, absolutely not. Okay, well then, screw you then. Well then that's your choice. You don't want to listen to the EPA saying we're treating you like test rats, then get out of here then. It's what do people actually do? I mean, you can't depend on other people. You can't depend on these people that you think you can depend on. And it's not working anymore. They aren't working for us. They are not working for us. They're working for themselves and their future families that are going to inherit their whole power trip. And it's just a mess, man. It's just a mess. I mean, when's the last time we heard anything from Alan Shaw? They're on their Instagram.
They're in it for the long haul, right?
They're in it for the long haul. And yet you don't see anything that was here when it was when everything happened, all the little pumps and stuff. You don't see any of that anymore. Right. They're already gone. I mean, they have a little shop set up, I think, in town, which I have yet to go to. What? That's just, they're going to have to pay a couple people to go stand there and say, hey, we're looking into it. Point you to the website. That's
and that's the unfortunate reality is residents are being gaslit on all sorts of things here related to testing, related to the Norfolk Southern Assistance Center, that people are still having to essentially go and beg for relocation money in a lot of cases. Some people will get it no problem. Other people will have issue after issue after issue. It depends on who you talk to. The rules change every week. Seemingly there are no rules. It's very much case-by-case basis. They're doing everything that they can to try to split and divide the town into different little factions, because if everyone is...
You can't say conspiracy anymore, because how much are we being proved, even as of late, how much these conspiracies aren't conspiracies.
Right. And this one in particular, I haven't really said it on this trip, but my last trip here, I was saying a lot is like I start digging into all of these things, and I feel like a conspiracy theorist, but the issue is I can point to something that proves every single element of it, and it's not a conspiracy, it's reality. This is happening here. You mentioned Flint. Jordan was just in Flint last week, literally. That's been going on for 9 years. I was talking with Colin yesterday about this in the car. This is almost a cut and paste of the Flint playbook happening in real time here in East Palestine on a much more accelerated basis.
And those they helped our first responders, East Palestinians, but what about the other 6 or whatever, how many fire departments came that night to help? All their equipment is ruined, completely ruined, because of all the stuff that got on it. I mean, I don't know exactly what it does, but I know that it was all over my drone, and that was not tasty.
Right. No, and unfortunately, a lot of those first responders, we're hearing reports from a lot of them. Some of them confirmed, some of them not. Most of the firefighters in town who were there the night of the derailment have signed non-disclosure agreements. They're not allowed to talk about it. If this was all in the up and up, why do you need to have first responders signing non-disclosure agreements? That to me is a major, major red flag. Yeah, I guess if there's anything else you want to share, please feel free. Otherwise, I really appreciate you taking the time. And,
yeah, I just think that, like, let's keep focusing on what's important here. Bud Light's a cool drink and all, but come on, you got to look at the bigger picture here. You got to look at it's so obvious. It's just so obvious anymore. And I don't know what the answer is. You're not allowed to say, like, let's go get them, because it's enticing a riot. Like, you can't say certain things. Right. They have it. So it's so comfy for them. If anything goes wrong, well, don't worry. That's just conspiracy theorists. That's just them making up things. That's just them overreacting. Oh yeah, we're here, we're listening, we're watching. No, but you're not doing. You got to do it. You can't just give everybody $1,000 and be like, hey, we gave you $1,000, dude. Like, that should be good enough. No, you ruined a town. You ruined a town of really good people. And again, these aren't people that want handouts. They are just people, and they know this. They are just people, simple people that just want to have a good life by themselves, have a great time. And it's hard to have a great time right now for anybody in this town and surrounding areas and everybody that's affected. And what do we do?
Unfortunately, I don't have the answers for you. What we do, we're going to keep highlighting these stories, though. Again, this is our 3rd trip in East Palestine. We're going to be back on this. Stay tuned for a whole lot more. Thanks, guys.